Hey there, everybody. It is Monday evening. It's almost 6 o'clock, and it looks like we are about to start a live stream drawing. Um, Manny here. Let's see. I'm about to share this. I need to go to the Dice Throne page. I need to go find the live stream so I can share it on Dice Throne Community. Aha, there it is. Let's see here. Let's get this. And it looks like we Okay, and I need to open up Facebook now. Go to Dice Run Community. See if I can actually get this to work. But I would hop in just a moment early to see. There it is. All right, so it looks like it's working. All right, so hopefully people are having a good evening. It is 6 o'clock here on the west side of the United States. It's a lot more people, a lot later for others. Hello, Drake. Did I see it say drawing dwarves? That was a different live stream. I did that one earlier, Drake, and then I deleted it after I drew it. And then I deleted the live stream, and I deleted the video and the source file and everything. And then I erased dwarves from the dictionary. There you go. So tonight we have a drawing I'm gonna be doing for Dice Throne Adventures, creating papers. Yeah. So we got some Dice Throne Adventure art. I have a whole bunch of minions to draw, and so I thought I would do one more minion this evening. So I am by myself in my studio tonight. My wife is out, the kids at the park. You're welcome, Drake. You're welcome. Hello, Aaron. So anyway, so tonight's live stream, this is going to be one of the minions that you're going to battle, or you could run up against when you're exploring the world of the Mad King. So, and just to kick off, the program I'm using is called Clip Studio Paint. It's an excellent, amazing program. I'm drawing on a Wacom Cintiq monitor, and I use a drawing pen, so I get to draw right on the monitor itself. I had a little bit of a chest cold a week ago, so I'm coughing and I'm going to drink a little water while I'm doing it. Hi, Jen. Aaron Hine has chosen to jump in. Because I'm by myself, I won't be able to answer. I'll try to follow along the best I can as we're going. But probably I'm just going to do the penciling, inking, and I'll try to swing back around. If you guys have any specific game-related questions or anything, hopefully Aaron Hine or any of the other guys who are people who are up on Dice Throne can help out. So, I am drawing what Nate and I affectionately called Elkhead. It's kind of a druid-ish character. And I'm not going to go through the rules at all, because I think there's a certain amount of fun, and when you guys get the game, you're going to be able to explore and experience what these minions can do. Some of the minions are more powerful than others, or they have more unique abilities, so this guy has really cool, fun abilities that I think are super sweet. So anyways, so what I've already done here is I've already drawn the pencil lines. Watching from the gym. Ooh, nice, Aaron. Glad you're working out, man. Ooh, Anthony says hi. Hi, Anthony. So, and I might have some sniffles. I apologize. My cold is still lingering in my head. So, anyway, so I've done my kind of pencil layout roughs. This one was going to be a little bit more exhaustive and complex, so I wanted to really get a gauge as to what it is before I start inking and coloring. So I probably spent 20 minutes or so just trying to figure out the general idea of the character and the that narrative behind the art. I'm going to lower the opacity down a little bit. Looks like we have 15 people watching. Cool. Hi, Justin. All right, and now we're going to ink. It's time to ink some stuff. So I have my ink brush pen, and any of you who are familiar with comic book terminology Inking is when people apply black ink to their paper. Uh, in fact, I was watching an amazing inker, Sandra Hope. I was watching a YouTube video this afternoon for a few minutes where she was inking a famous comic book artist named Jim Lee. And it was so cool watching her meticulous, amazing brush actions. I am not nearly as careful as the professional inkers are out there in the world. It was one time people referred to what I do as drawing with the ink brush because I have a tendency to not worry too much about the line placement or how exact it is. Uh, that can be frustrating for certain people. So so just know you're in for some frustration if you don't like my sloppy lines. But I really love inking. I love the act of that nice fine ink line and how it looks on paper or on the screen. It's super satisfying. So right now I'm the we'll just call him Elkhead. Elkhead here. He's wearing an elk skull on top of his head, and then we're going to, his face can be seen from underneath it, which is ominous, ominous and cool. Pause for a second. Okay. Purple Pog. Oh, purple to orange gradient. So anyway, so we're going to be able to see some of his face through the skull of the elk, but not a lot. I don't want to. Sorry. I'll definitely do some coughing during this. Talking for the next hour might be uh, a little bit much. All right, so here we go. He's going to have some, wild and crazy hair. I was pretty inspired by this guy when Nate and I were creating the idea of him as a minion that you battle. It was neat. It was fun to daydream, kind of, even what he looks like. And Nate was very specific, and he's like, "I want him to have an elk wearing like the elk skull thing." We found some cool pictures of druids or forest people who wearing skulls on their head. So yes, Alicia, this is Elkhead. Uh, he's a minion for Dice Throne Adventure. So you will find yourself battling against Mr. Elkhead eventually. It's very exciting. Nate and Gavin and I played an excellent beta test this afternoon. Dice Throne Adventure is coming along very well. One of the fun parts of Dice Throne Adventure is exploring how hard it is to play. We want it to be challenging. We want it to be hard, really. We really do want it to be hard. But we also want people who, maybe this is their first time playing a co-op or they got introduced to board games through Dice Throne. We also want to make sure that it isn't, a game that's literally impossible to win or something like that, or requires a, next level mastery of Dice Throne or whatever. But the playtest went great. In standard Dice Throne Adventure fashion, both Nate, Gavin, and I thought for sure we were not going to make it. We thought, oh no, we're going to die for sure. Yeah, you're right, Alicia. A year is a long wait. So I'm having to kind of mute my mic here occasionally and take drinks of water to keep my throat from being too dry. So, anyways, yeah, the playtest went great. It was very challenging. It was very fun. I played the Vampire Lord, Nate played the Monk, and Gavin played the Paladin, and it was by the seat of our pants kind of victory, and it was super satisfying. Um, but it's one of the things I love so much about Dice Throne Adventure is that it definitely allows, it definitely has a lot of that tension where um, you're not sure how it's going to go down, and because there's dice involved and there's randomization of the world and the tiles and all of it, man, you can really get hammered by the Dice Throne world, by the Mad King's world. Um, and that's super fun. I love it. So anyway, so we're making some antlers on old elk head here. I don't know if this is a traditional elk or if it's some kind of mystical elk. Who knows, right? Um, but I really like the idea of a druidish character like this. Um, it would be, it's just it's a neat idea for a minion or really anything to battle or fight. So now I'm gonna kind of work on his little bone necklace here. Let's see if there's any other thoughts or questions. How did the vampire do? The vampire lord did amazing. She is excellent in the co-op, but like any hero that doesn't have a lot of base healing, you have to be very careful. Um, I did two heals, two fairly substantial heals over the course of the campaign, and that was it was key. Part of the advantage to the co-op in that sense is that minions can't alter dice, so you can kind of strategically find those opportunities to do nice heals for her. So even if you're feeling like, oh no, she's starting to really go downhill or she's dying, she can gain back 10 health pretty fast, or 8 health, or even 7. And when you're starting at, you know, let's say 10 or 12 or 15 or 8 or, however much your starting health is, um, or wherever you're at in the game, 8 to 10 health heal is epic in the co-op. So she's very fussy that way, and very finicky. But I would argue the pyro is very similar. The difference for the pyro, the advantage, people love the pyro so much, is her damage output is so much higher. Um, but the vampire is no slouch. And with a nicely placed mesmerize and some blood power and bleed placed on the villains and the minions. I've had a really good time. I've played her 2 sessions now, and I like her. Hi, Michael. All right, so we're kind of building up let's see, building up this guy's outfit. One nice thing about a program like this is you can actually turn the paper or turn the page as it is, like this, so that I can continue inking or drawing along a path that feels more natural for my hand. It's almost like turning the paper when it's on the table, right? It feels more natural. I like it. So let's see here. We're gonna add arms. He's gonna have kind of a bone bracelet as well. I like the idea of him being kind of a natural, not savage, but like a naturalist, um, one with the creatures and the animals and stuff like that. Um, so we got, let's see here, draping kind of a big fur coat or fur air thing over his shoulder, down his body. This is going to be a fairly glow-tastic, mystical drawing when it's all finished here. But that should come as no surprise to anyone who's ever watched my live streams. So anyways, some of you may know this because you might follow my personal page, which I don't post on very much. But my family and I, we are moving to Minnesota. and it is a bittersweet thing. We're specifically wanting to be closer to family, so that is excellent for our family, for us. But we have a lot of close friends and a lot of people we know and love in Spokane. So it's not like we made this move flippantly and we're making this move like of with no thought. Um, it's a big deal. It's a big move. But we're looking forward. Both my wife and I grew up in Minnesota, so we're it's kind of like we're going home, to a certain extent. Uh, but like I said, we've lived now in Spokane for 15 years, so it's a pretty big deal. I definitely feel a bittersweetness to the idea of moving home. So we'll see. We'll see how it feels. Um, so if any of you happen to be Minnesotans that are hanging out there, I look forward to hopefully meeting you when we're there. Try to find some local game stores. I know there are a handful. One of my favorites is a place called The Source Comics and Games. It's in Roseville. Michael, this is a druid of sorts. He's a minion, though. You fight him. This is not a playable hero or anything like that. Okay, so let's keep going here. So yeah, it's going to be a big move. We're getting our house ready right now. We're painting and fixing and trying to make our house feel nice and not as lived in, because that's a key element apparently when you're trying to sell your house, is trying to help people not help them imagine themselves living in your home, which is super strange. But so anyways, so yeah, we hope to be on the road leaving Spokane early November, and just to quell any feelings or thoughts, of course, we are Dice Throne is still very much it's the major part of my career and life. So even moving doesn't. It's not like oh no, we're not going to do Dice Throne as much. No, we're if anything, I need to make sure Dice Throne is super successful to help take care of my family and that kind of stuff. So yeah, there you go. So anyone who's following along at home or they happen to be in the great state of Minnesota, we will be there shortly. In the next probably not quite a month, probably a little more than a month. So, so Mr. Druid, let's see here. I'm working on his hand at the moment, and he's got like a piece of bone in his hand. Maybe he's, I don't know, summoning the great moose or maybe the otter. I don't know. That seems strange that he would summon the otter. But otters are pretty cool, so I guess maybe. Um, and before you ask, yes, it would be super sweet to have a druid hero. I know that some of you are going to want to know. They're probably going to be like, "Oh man, this would make a sweet hero," and I think it would too. Um, but it is not time to build a druid hero yet. So, all right. So let's gonna have one hand in kind of front of his in the body, gesturing. Maybe he'll be conjuring a little bit of spirit animal magic or something like that. Um, and for you, those of you that don't know, there's quite a bit of ad libbing or making it up as I go along as I'm trying to do these kind of drawings. Like I knew what he kind of looked like before we started, so now I'm actively figuring it out as we go, as I'm drawing here. All right, so we're getting close to being done with inks. There's gonna be a lot of color and a lot of like bright colors and wispy bits and stuff like that, which I'm pretty excited about. Thanks, Joel. Nice thrown dwarf, but before you hang it up, I don't know. Summon the water buffalo. Yes, a druid hero would be pretty cool. Perhaps someday. Like I said, in between, well, just pieces of art that represent future heroes. I want to say there's 14 right now. Yeah, if it's a minion, it could also be a hero. Who knows? Yeah, Joel, hands are super funny that way. Like being able to draw a hand quickly and efficiently is it's hard. Like I often feel like it's gestural or like I'm just trying to wing it a little bit. All right, so that's probably good for him. This is good for him. We're gonna add a little bit more there, and I think what I want to do is I'm gonna erase some like right here in the shadow. That'll help it to feel a little bit furrier, a little bit more like he's got fur there. And potentially we'll, I don't know. Yeah, all right, that feels good. Now I'm gonna do some light ink work for this background, for this, I don't know, like the essence of the bear or something like that. Maybe it's like a perfume. It's the essence of bear. The essence of water is wetness. I remember that. I love that commercial in Zoolander where he's the merman and he talks about the essence of water is wetness, or I forget exactly what it is. But I just love that super goofy. That's actually a movie I really love. I think there's probably a lot of people that would say they don't love Zoolander as a movie, but I love the abstractness and the humor and the how eccentric it is as a film. So this isn't going to be like a literal depiction of a bear. It's not going to be all furry and hairy. I like the idea that maybe the image of this bear back here is more of a swooping spirit bear thing. Is it real yet? Is it not? Who knows? Um, maybe he's going to conjure it. Maybe he really likes bears and they're like his best friends or something like that. Or maybe he likes elk because he did carve like kill an elk and put its head on his head. So maybe that's something. Yes, that's awkward. Sorry. So this background stuff, though, this is like I'm gonna do the ink lines first, but probably there's gonna be some fun coloration, like the lines might get colored, or. But really, right now, this is all about like I want to place it so that I can tell where how the. What's funny is I'm doing hand gestures right now, like at my monitor, because you can't see them, but that's all right. Perfect three fingers. Oh yeah. Michael, the thumbnail is underneath, so you can loosely see. Here, I'll hide it real quick. Um, so this is the thumbnail. So I just draw. This is my pencils and thumbnail part, and then I go in. I just jump right in and start doing inking. Ooh, vote for a fairy is a magical unicorn. I do like unicorns. Unicorn's probably one of my favorite magical animals. Um, Not a liger. Let's see here. The bear, yeah. Musky. Little bear grew up and he's ticked. A gasoline fight, yeah. A freak gasoline fight accident. The glow is forthcoming. It is a true statement. It's only a matter of time before something glows up here. Um, so first I gotta finish off the essence of elk. So the essence of elk is almost done. We'll kind of do some swoopy antlers here in the background. Um, so he's not an actual elk. He's like the spirit elk or something. Um, and it doesn't matter if it goes behind him or underneath him at this point because right now, and those will. So what'll happen here is I have all my inks. I have my guy on the front, and then my bear and elk in the background. So next is the flatting or the color book phase. Zoolander is iconic. It's true. Hi, Darren. Um, so the what am I doing? I'm flatting. That's what I'm doing. So as I've described in previous live streams, flatting is the act of coloring. It's effectively a coloring book. So we're going to give this guy some kind of darkish. He's an outdoorsy fellow, let's say. I don't think he's watching a whole lot of Zoolander. So we're gonna give him some nice dark skin. Just feels normal, feels right for a figure like this. We want him to be mysterious and ominous, so that when you're battling, when you pull this guy to fight him, I want people to feel like, oh man, it's sweet. It's time to battle the elk head. And who knows what his actual, what type of character he will actually be. But let's see here. All right, so I'm putting my kind of skin tone down first. And for those of you following along who haven't watched any of these before, the live streams tend to go just about an hour. So I'm about not quite halfway in to the live stream right now. But I'm getting close. So, and let's give him some dark hair, some darkish gray hair. That way, his whole head and face will contrast to the elk head that he's wearing, which will be nice. It'll create a nice, and then once I add shadow to his face, that'll then push the elk head out even further. It's almost like he wants to personify the elk, and I think that sounds fun, mystical, and dynamic. All right, so right now we're just flatting. I mean, again, as I've stated before, this is basically like I made a dice throne coloring book, and now it's time to color. And oftentimes, whenever I say that, I'm like, oh man, that sounds super fun. I'd like a dice throne coloring book, and I know my kids would. So someday I should actually do that. Right along all the others, some days I should do something. There's lots of some days when you're making games and content and stuff like that. There's no shortage of cool things that can be done. It's really more a question of how much time do you have, and can you get it done? So, sadly, I don't often have the time to do a lot of those extraneous things. But someday, I like to hold out hope for those kind of things, like making sweet coloring books. All right, what else do we got here? The awesome character. Coloring book. Yep, Carol. I agree. Lots of some days. Too many some days. There should be less some days. More right nows. I think that's one of the interesting things I've been thinking a lot about as we draw. One of the, as we are moving back to Minnesota to spend more time with our family, our parents and siblings. I'm really looking forward to spending more time with my sisters and brother. My sister is an amazing. She makes purses and bags and wallets. She's a leather worker, and it's really pretty amazing the work she does. And each time I've been able to go over there and visit, it's been really neat to go to her studio, which is in North Minneapolis, I believe, and it's just really cool. I like seeing that stuff. Anyways, here we go. We're talking about some days, aren't we? Wisdom from me. You know what's funny is wisdom often comes from the fact that you eventually start making bad choices, and then you realize you should make different choices. It's so easy to lose yourself in work. It's easy to lose yourself in the some days, or that notion of, well, eventually I'll have plenty of time to go see my family, or to go on vacation, or to spend time with my children, or all that kind of stuff. I feel like I have often in my life chosen the some days over people, and that's for me, that's a choice I feel like I need to rectify. I feel like um, it's pretty cool that I get to work from home and I get to see my kids a lot. And one of the things I know they appreciate that fact that they can just run out into the backyard and come see me and hang out, and we can play Pokemon together and all that stuff. It's really enjoyable. All right, so we're back here. I'm still colorizing. We're gonna colorize these bones. Too many bones. Ha ha ha. Too Many Bones is a very fun game made by a company called Chip Theory Games. They are in Minnesota, and I look forward to going to their studio, hanging out with them. So, all right, I think maybe the. Oh, what about like a big? Oh, that's not right. I need to cut that off right there. There we go. All right, we're almost there. The fill tool, the thing I use for my coloring, is like a paint bucket that looks to see if there's any lines or what holes there are to fill, and then it fills it. It like tries to smart fill, and sometimes it's really good at it, and sometimes it's not so good at it. And so I have to be kind of careful with the lines that I place. Yes, the Carol getting a new house is a it's basically a recipe for the we will eventually fix it. It's kind of sad, really. We're fixing our current house, and there's all these things we're doing in our current house that make me sad I didn't do earlier, so we could enjoy them. Like now I'm prettying up my house so that someone else can move into it. That's kind of sad. That's kind of a sad reality of life that we sometimes fix our house so other people can enjoy it. Um, but anyways, it happens. Not much I can do about it now. I can try to live in the moment more when I get to our new place, I guess. But right now, this is where I'm at. So, um, all right. So we got some more color. I don't need to go too far down here because on the Dice Throne Adventure minion graphic, there's basically a line that's kind of like this. And that line, like all the art has to fit in kind of this side arc. And the side arc, it means that we're going to lose. Like we're probably going to scale this up or down to make it fit and look good. So I don't need the art to be fully realized to all the edges. Does he keep beads in his hair? I don't know. Maybe. Bones, maybe. I could see bones. Leopard print? Oh, it might be nice. You just, let's see, Carol. We just changed states this summer, still in the Midwest. Yeah, yeah. We haven't bought a new house yet. We can't afford to buy a home while still owning a home. So we're kind of cart and horse here a little bit. We we would love. We're currently shopping and daydreaming about cool houses in Minnesota, but we really can't afford to buy anything until we've you know sold what we have, which seems logical to me. So. Um, So we're kind of adding. I think this guy is definitely a muted color scheme. I can't imagine that he's going to be, tons of bright colors. The bright colors will come from his magic, and I think that'll be very fitting. So let's see here. Oops, that's not. I wanted it to stay kind of a blue gray. All right. Oops. What am I doing? There we go. Got my buttons mixed up. So yeah, I think it's been really interesting. There's no shortage of work to be done, whether it's on a home or on a job or whatever it is. I read somewhere recently where people were talking about how I just have one more thing to do, and then I'll finally get my weekends back, or I'll finally get my time back, or I'll finally get my life back, or all these different ways we talk talk about how we will get our time, and that's I'm not entirely sure that's how that works. I don't think you get your time back. If I choose to spend it drawing and painting, and I don't choose to spend it working out. That's for sure. Which I need to do more of. I started biking though. That was kind of fun. If this is your first time joining these, you'll definitely realize that I'm sitting in a room by myself, talking to a computer screen, which is you guys, and it's super fun, but it's kind of surreal and a little bit strange to do that. All right, so let's see. I'm just about done with flats, or flatting, or the coloring book phase. Okay, so then what I want to do is I want to dump some color in the background. And let's start with kind of a. I don't want it to be kind of natural, maybe something like that, like an aqua. That's nice. And that also shows me holes. Like you'll see, I don't know if you might not be able to see it on the live stream because it's so small, or the resolution might not be high enough. But there are when I use this fill tool that I'm using, it doesn't always fill every little gap. So then I'm forced to kind of zip around the drawing and touch up little tiny holes. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. It all depends. So the next step after this is going to be shadows. So what will happen is I'm going to pick a light source, and then I'm going to kind of imagine the light source shining light on our character, and then casting shadows. So the flats feel good. I'm happy with that. 635. Glow is right, April Lynn. It's coming. Thanks, TJ. If it helps, you can imagine we're also talking. Yeah, I don't talk to myself all the time, Joel. And April Lynn, if you're talking to your computer, that's cool. You can talk to your computer. It does help a little, actually. It's nice. It's nice to know. I like. I used to do caricatures and airbrushing T-shirts, and so when you do things like that, you airbrush T-shirts and caricatures, you kind of learn that you have to be able to to the talk to the people, and you answer questions and all that kind of stuff while you're making your art. It's a unique skill that I kind of take for granted. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm drawing and talking to my screen. That's what you do. But that's not super difficult. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of highlight. I want him to be kind of dark and foreboding. But I don't necessarily want the world behind him. I want the magic of the bear and the elk to shine through. So now I choose just kind of a grayish color because the shadows need to be neutral. They're going to be affected by light, effectively, or they are effectively going to be affected by light. See what I did there? Hot. Okay. So right now I'm going through and I'm adding shadows. So I'm imagining I'm going to have the light just come directly down as if he was standing under a light. So this will be. So right now I go through and I just imagine and paint in where the shadows go. And this is fun. It's always enjoyable to watch the entire thing come to life slowly over the course of 30 minutes or so. All right, so let's see here. The shadows, because he's wearing the elk head, there's going to be more cast shadows on his face from where the elk is covering parts of him. If you try to imagine you're standing in front of a mirror, and if you can, imagine light being above your head, casting down shadows. That's kind of what I'm imagining at the moment. Is trying to emulate how that would look, but also keep it dramatic because there's stage lighting. Like if any of you've ever done theater, stage lighting is not real. It's not real life, and it's not supposed to be real life. And I feel like comic books and cartoon art and stuff like this, I don't want it to be real. It's not real. And if it was real, then I might as well get some actors and do some photography of it. So I'm not a realistic painter. I'm not a realistic artist. I don't prefer that as a method. So sometimes there is my art it'll deviate from the real or the physical or the tangible. So, but that is also dice throne. Like dice throne is not real, and even like people sometimes they notice and sometimes they don't notice that the hands only have 3 fingers and a thumb, and that's it's very intentional. Part of it's an homage to cartoon art, and part of that is the world of Dice Throne is not reality. It's not meant to be real. It's meant to be just. It's meant to be like just left of reality, or just familiar enough so that when you're playing and you're thinking about the barbarian or the moon elf or an archer or a magician or whatever it is, right? It feels just familiar enough that you reference it or you feel a kindred spirit to it, or it's kind of like when people play Dice Throne, right? You get that sensation of, well, at least I do. Like when I love the barbarian and I love how he plays and I love to be in character in my heart or in my mind when I'm playing a hero like that, because the game is it's just more fun to me to be thinking about it in terms of its narrative reality or its faux reality. Um, So it's anyways. That's partly why the 3 finger, the cartoon style, the way the shadows and the light are very hard edged. Um, so there's a lot of intention in that art, and people seem to enjoy it, and that's good. So right now we're doing the shadows. It's coming along well. I like it. Um, so we're adding them in. We got to put them up here too, along the elk head, the elk skull. So they can kind of even the antlers can kind of cast shadows on themselves and on the art itself. But again, it's that idea that the light is coming downward, basically, and then from there we're going to cast shadows. We're going to add effects and other lighting stuff. So we're kind of coming into the home stretch here. I don't know. You may not realize it or be able to tell yet, but we're very close to being finished with the overall piece. So I'm gonna add some shadow to the fur itself. I couldn't tell in my mind like if he's one with the bear, does he also wear a bear pelt? Is that cool? Is it okay for him to do that? Um, and ultimately, it looks cool, so that's why it's okay. Um, all right, so we got just a little bit more shadow work to do. We're gonna put more over here. It's kind of like his giant bear pelt is off to the side. We're gonna, oops, we're gonna add in some more shadows. I'll check comments here in just a moment. Kind of in the zone at the moment, so we'll see. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, anyways, it's super fun. I really enjoy the art. It's a very satisfying art style. It didn't used to be. I've shared this in previous art streams, but Dice Throne art, the way the game looks artistically, was born out of a need to draw faster and to produce more. And so it took a while for me to reconcile my own feelings about how the art looked. Because initially, the art had a very, well, my art before this had a very rendered, almost. I tried to make it kind of painterly, and that didn't work. Um, I'm. I mean, it worked. Like to say it didn't work is maybe overstating, but it worked. I wanted it to be almost more like an animated movie, and I think that's. And I think it definitely feels more that way now than it used to. All right, so we're gonna put the. Oops, that's the wrong piece of ink. Okay, so we got the lines back there. Now we need to tint the whole thing. So let's make sure it has kind of a nice greenish hue to it, because he's definitely a nature guy, Mr. Elkhead. And what I want to do now is I want to convert these to some, like almost like a brighter color, right? So that they feel more like a spirit animal. And I think the bear should probably not be the yellower. So let's make his outlines a little bit more orange. We'll leave the elk yellowish, and I want him to kind of be there in the background, but kind of fade a little. I don't want you to feel. I don't want them to overpower the hero itself. Um, all right, and I think we want the background to be a little bit darker. So let's have a little bit of dark. We'll almost create kind of a halo of dark and cloud or murkiness around him. And then we can add a little bit of a haze or a fog almost to the bottom. I do love atmosphere, and I like atmospheric effects, that's for sure. Okay, so we're going to add just a little bit of light coming up from the bottom, almost like he's standing in a fog or like a haze or something like that. So I think that'll be nice. And yes, there is a certain amount of Bob Rossianness to the talking and to all that kind of stuff. So I've just kind of accepted that that's part of what it is. Talking to yourself while other people watch is it is pretty Bob Rossian actually. So now we need to add some highlights, and I haven't checked any of the comments, so I'll come back later and probably do that. I want to stay focused. I have about 15 minutes in my my schedule, the schedule in my brain, I guess. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes. I could keep going. I'm guessing. The general consensus has been from people that they're totally cool if I take more than an hour to work on a piece, but it's kind of my personal preference to try to keep the drawings and the live streams to an hour or less. Sometimes they're 45 minutes, sometimes a little bit more. All right. So now I'm doing highlights. I want there to be some highlight areas. It helps to create some, richness to the character. It also helps to show off the fur and the coat and that sheen, that Martin Sheen. That was silly. The sheen of the fur coat. Like I like when you can look across a bear pelt or whatever and see the beautiful color. So just a little bit. I want to add just enough to create some that furry quality. The furry quality. Fur equality. Fur equality? Fur equality. There we go. I was recently, lovely Drake continues to ask me when we're going to do a YouTube channel. He really wants to help me get that set up, and we totally need to do that. And then Nate the other day was joking, not joking. I'm pretty sure he wasn't joking. He was like, you could just do 2 or 3 of these every day and just live stream each one, and then we'd get a whole bunch of art done every day. And I think 2 or 3 a day might be a little excessive, but um, but it would still be fun. But I think probably like a YouTube, like a live stream or YouTube channel, being able to post these for people to watch them later, and not have to like sift through Facebook in order to watch and enjoy the live stream art. Um, they feel a little redundant to me because they end up being, more more dudes or more people or more creatures or minions or whatever. Um, but I do enjoy it. I enjoy sharing it with you guys. I enjoy sharing the art and the time. Would be kind of fun is to do one of these live at maybe a convention. That'd be kind of cool. I could do like a live stream and draw on my iPad at the booth. We should probably try to do that. That'd be fun. And that way you guys could watch the brush strokes and how the movement happens, because it's all you're seeing is my cursor like flying around the screen, and that might be more interesting to see it live. I don't know. We'll figure it out. So of course we want to make sure. What I want to do now is I kind of want to create another layer of shadow. I'd like him to be a little bit moodier, a little bit darker. So potentially we add just a little bit more shadow under his neck. Yes. Am I doing this right? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Okay. So just a little bit more darkness in his face. I want it to almost, be like one of the scary things where you're like, oh man, it's Elkhead. Not that we're gonna be scared, of course, but good old Elkhead. Can darken maybe the tips of the antlers out here. They're maybe not quite as much light. Can even come in, add a little bit of shadow. It's almost like a photo vignetting that people do. They like to vignette a photo so that it feels, that draws the attention or the eye in to the middle of the drawing or the piece of art. So one thing we could do in the background, we should try it out. We could try to glow these dudes in the background. And if we glow them, they can almost be like a wisp or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. Almost like a wisp of color. As if they are not fully formed yet. They're waiting in the wings to be fully formed by the Druid. Add just a little bit of light to the eye, so they seem maybe a little less vacant, as if they're solidifying. I don't know, that's kind of cool. And then we can add a little highlight to the lines. And if I want, we could add a little bit more glow, almost as if the power is emanating from him or from his body. That way the highlights, stuff like this, it starts to call attention to the fact that he's in charge, right? Mr. Elkhead is the one in charge. He's the one summoning the power of the bear and the power of the elk. Okay, and we need to add a little bit more. I want to kind of accentuate this edge of the fur here. I want to draw a stronger differentiation there. Another thing we can do is potentially warm up the front, because right now the whole thing's kind of cold. So if we use that's a little bit too dark. So it's gonna not go so dark, but we can warm the skull a little bit and his face, maybe like the middle section and the fur. So that way, there's a little bit more contrast between the orange and the green of Elkhead and the background magic. So then we need to add just a little bit of glow, I think. And the little bit of glow will be nice because I want to accentuate the fact that the glow is coming from up top. And we can even add, it doesn't need to go all the way out and hit everything, but if it just hits a little bit of this central and the bones, like imagine like light coming down on bone would probably cause it to glow just a little bit. And the piece of bone, the shard that he's using in his hand, and we definitely need just that little bit of highlight in the eyeball to kind of bring them to life a little bit better. So let's see, we're just about done with Mr. Elkhead, I think. Now what I want to do is I want to bounce some light. And bounce light's kind of fun. So if you imagine the light's coming from the top and it's coming down, it will hit the ground or it'll hit a hand, and then it'll cause little bits of rim light to happen. It'll cause, in real life, this actually happens on objects, but in a comic book or cartoony looking thing like this, I'm going to over accentuate it. I'm going to cause it to feel or to be more, intense or glowy. So even along the fur itself, the fur will get a little bit of that rim light, as if the brighter sunlight is bouncing off the foliage or the water or the leaves or something, some aspect of the environment. So we can add just a little bit more. Ooh, that's nice. Add that little bit of extra green. And then some fun mystical touches. I love this little like glow shard, little sparkle thing. Add that into the background. He's definitely mystically conjuring some stuff. And then I definitely want to add a little bit more texture. I don't want it to be so light, so just that darkness of the underside of his cape or cloak or fur blanket. I don't know, whatever it's called. Just a little bit of highlight down here to the pelt around his belt. That rhymes, in case you were unaware. So here we are. I think we are. Yeah, there we go. I think we are basically finished. So here you go, guys. This is Mr. Elkhead. Let me scan through the comments real quick here. A spirit squirrel. There should be at least one spirit squirrel in here, Josh. TX version, yes. The shadows just mean something. Yeah, Shadow Thief has just ruined the word shadows for me. Just kidding. The shadows and the highlights and all the stuff come together really well. Just looking for any quick questions. Glow. I think that's it. That's probably going to do it for now, guys. Thank you for joining. Always grateful that people come along. When we schedule the next live stream, I will schedule it accordingly so that our European and other country folk can join in. So the next one will probably land on a Saturday. In a couple weeks, there's 24-hour comic day. And if you've ever heard of that, that's where artists get together and they try to draw a comic book in one day. So I will be participating in that here in Spokane. It'll kind of be a going away party, so to speak, for myself. It'll be the last time I see some of these guys in person, probably. But anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me for an hour, and we will talk soon.